Sharon Ezell is with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great as well, I think. Now, can you just describe to us what it is that you do?
Well, I am a CEO of a self-help consulting firm.
Mm,
And what I do pretty much is I help people find their purpose in life. I walk them through anything that might be hindering their purpose, such as maybe childhood traumas, anything that would cause them to not be able to identify who it is that God says that they are.
yeah.
And so I commit myself to helping people each and every day walk into the best version of themselves.
How did you first start to get interested in this?
Well, to be honest, I really thought that I was going to be a news reporter.
Mm,
I started out that way, and I discovered that I was more interested in helping them recover from what they went through
yeah.
versus actually getting a newsworthy story.
Ah,
And it affected my ability to do my job.
yeah.
And so I was torn. I had to end up walking off of my job as a news reporter to pursue my desire to help people after the trauma, after the drama,
Yeah.
after what they went through, and to come out of it a better person and see the purpose for why they went through what they went through versus what they were going through.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Do you ever accidentally take a journalist perspective even now when you're working with these people?
I absolutely do,
Mm,
because I kind of want to remove my personal emotions sometimes,
yeah.
because I don't want to be biased to like the responses that I'm going to get in order to be able to effectively dissect what they're saying. Because I
Mm,
need to give them a response based on what they need to hear, not what I emotionally want to say. So yes,
yeah.
I have to switch it up sometimes and make sure that I'm not getting so caught up in the emotion of it. And as news reporters, you have to be able to remove yourself completely from the emotion. So
Yeah.
yes, from time to time, I do have to use that reporter aspect to be able to get my the information that I need to help the client.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. And you've got a book out as well. What are the readers able to expect from the book?
Well, the book basically is going to be a three-component book.
Yeah.
It took me forever to write it because I wanted to make sure that, actually, four components. I wanted to make sure that they were able to get a lot out of it. Number one, what they're going to get out of it is they're going to get scriptural basis, biblical
Yeah.
basis for every scenario that I talk to them about. They're going to get personal stories from me about how I discovered the very thing that I'm talking to them about in that chapter.
Mm,
Because I want them to know, number one, you're not alone. You're not the only person going through this. You're not the only
yeah.
person that traveled this road. Our stories may be different, but they're similar in where we're headed as it pertains to looking for purpose and searching for purpose. And
Mm,
then also they're going to get a component where they can journal, where they can sit there and actually write down their thoughts, their emotions, spend time with God just to meditate on what they just read, meditate on where they are in aspect to what they just read. And then at the end of that, they will be able to declare over themselves, speak life, and say things like, I am forgiven, I am loved, those
yeah.
type of things, so that they can just kind of seal it. And what I wanted to also do is help those people that are having issues with discipline. Realized that when I journaled, it was nothing but a book.
Yeah.
So when you get through journaling, guess what? You have 31 days, 31 chapters of a book that you can actually put into the hands of an editor and make it into a masterpiece, because it was truth, it was honesty, and it came from the heart.
Yeah. That sounds like a really interesting book. It's a nice way of doing it. And how long did it take you to write this book?
Well, to be honest, I started, I stopped, I started, I
Yeah.
stopped, just like anything anybody else does. I was not a disciplined person, to be honest.
Mm,
I had to really and truly understand that what my purpose was in order to be able to say, you know what, I need to be disciplined and get this book done. It took me about a year to get this book completed, because I started and I stopped and I started and I stopped. But at the same time, I was constantly writing down thoughts, constantly writing
yeah.
down gestures, emotions, incidents, so that I could use it later on. And this is kind of what I wanted the book to also do for the reader as well.
Yeah. I suppose your experience in being a news reporter, has that helped you with kind of the writing style of the book? Because I suppose you would have had experience writing up reports on things.
Yes, I was writing up my own report, to be honest.
Mm,
It did help me to be able to put it into a simple term. I didn't want people
yeah.
to have to look up the words definitions and stuff like that to be able to understand the book. I wanted to put it simply. I had to think about the reader. I had to think about the person, the state they were in, the mindset they were in. And a lot of people that don't know who they are, they really just want somebody they can relate to. They don't care about how smart you are. They don't care about your credentials. I didn't want to put that in the book. I just really wanted to simply say, listen, girl, grab a cup of coffee, sit down with me, and let me tell you how my story went, or whatever, young man, any gender can relate to these stories, because everybody at some point can have a great career. They can have a great family life. They can have lots of friends and family and still have a void. And that void is only something that purpose can fulfill. And so I wanted them to be able to relate to me to get the message. And so the news reporting went well, but it was mostly just having a dialogue, just a conversation like you and I are having. Yeah. Really and truly. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And going back to the consulting firm, do you ever have any challenges when you're trying to connect with somebody?
Absolutely. But I try to kind of do my homework before I take on a client. Yeah. Because number one, when it comes to having to take a self-evaluation of yourself, which is really and truly what the first month of the program does, it's called self-awareness. So we're dealing with pretty much you. How many people really and truly want to face their truths and say, listen, I have an issue and I really want help. Some people want you to just listen to them and hear what they have to say, but they really don't want to change and they really don't want help. So what I do is a diagnostic call. And during that diagnostic call, what I do is I really and truly get to the root of where this person is. Do they really and truly want help, or do they just want a listening ear? So I kind of weed out those people those challenges, because the only challenge that I run into is people not really wanting to actively participate in their intervention, in their deliverance. And so I try to weed that out in the beginning. Do I come into places where people kind of give me resistance? Absolutely. Nobody wants to hear the truth. And some people really are afraid of change. But I try to use my expertise and my skill sets to help them realize the end result. And that's the challenge sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And would you give yourself any advice, like your younger self? Would you want to go back and give her a bit of good advice that you know now?
That is amazing that you asked me that question, because yes, I absolutely would. What I would tell my younger self is to be more self-aware. Be proactive instead of reactive, in a sense. I was the hothead. I was the one that, I listened to respond. I didn't listen to understand. And so I would have told my younger self just to be more proactive instead of reactive, and just to be more self-aware of where I am and be okay with that, but also work towards what it is that and where I want to be. Because I think self-awareness is the key to success. Most successful people are very self-aware. They're aware of themselves. And so I feel like that's something I lacked at my younger self, but I'm working on that more and more every day. And I think I'm in a good place.
Yeah, exactly. And is there an important thing to know if we're going into this kind of business that you are in?
Well, to be honest, when I started this, I did not have a blueprint of someone else doing what I do.
Yeah.
Most consulting firms were business, they were other things. They weren't self-help consulting firms. Who's going to consult with you about them needing help? But it was a vision that God gave me, and I knew that God told me to do this. And so I would tell anybody that's going into consulting or anything, helping other people, don't look for a blueprint. Yeah. Don't stay in a box. Always allow yourself to be open and creative, because if I had looked and tried to find a blueprint for what I'm doing right now, I would not be doing this right now, because I did not have one. So just going into a consulting firm, make sure that, number one, you heard from God concerning what it is that you're supposed to do. Make sure you spend that necessary time in a quiet place to really and truly make sure you're hearing properly. And then what I would say is don't think outside the box. Think like there is no box. Okay, because that gives you an opportunity to be creative. And that also leaves you not wanting to go back into the box once you come out, because it's going to be scary. Yeah. You're going to be alone. You're going to feel like you're just out there hanging. It's not going to immediately take off, and so you'll end up going back into the box if you think outside the box. But just think like there is no box and just do it, just do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, if we're interested in your services, where are we able to find them everywhere?
I'm glad you asked. You can go to my website, www.sharonezell.com. You will be able to go there and see all the services that I offer. Also, you'll be able to see the books and tools that I offer as well for just your personal use. And if you have a particular or specific just instance or something that you just want to talk about and just need a small consulting opportunity, there is also consultations that you can book directly through the website as well.
Yeah. And the book as well, is that on any particular shops or is that through the website as well?
You can get it through the website if you want a signed copy of the book. Also, you can get it on Amazon.com. It is available now on Amazon.com. The name of the book is Who Am I? A dialogue between me, myself, and God.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us on the show today. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you for having me.